Welcome. Today, I would like to speak about the qualities of a real leader. And I will start just in a few seconds, just so that we connect also with our Facebook account, Bhakti Yoga Online. Just a minute. Okay. We are. Okay, we are getting live right now. So welcome all dear friends, welcome all spiritual seekers, welcome all well-wishers. So today I would like to speak briefly on a very important topic, and this is the topic of qualities of a real leader. Who is actually a real leader? Because just a few days ago, there was a great celebration of the appearance of Lord Rama. And you may be asking, who is Lord Rama? Lord Rama is actually a real historical personality. This is a great king who once lived in India, like in a really bygone ages, you could say, very, very long time ago. And he is still known to be the ideal king, the ideal leader. And people still hanker after Rama Raja. They want to have kingdom of Lord Ram. So I would like to speak about few of his qualities, and I would also like to describe one amazing story that I just recently heard, which illustrates this quality of an exemplary leader. So King Rama was well known for his exemplary character and virtue. And one of his main attitudes was that he is actually serving the people who were in his country. And he was always ready to put aside his own needs, his own happiness, his own satisfaction, in order to serve the needs of the people he was protecting. And he showed this through many events in his life. But today I would like to especially point out one of his qualities, which was that he was always ready to hear the feedback. This is one of the very important qualities of a real leader. A real leader is welcoming feedback and from people whom he leads. And he wants to hear from them. He wants to hear if his leadership is good and beneficial for them, and he wants to hear if there are any complaints. Like one of the things that Lord Ramachandra would often do, he would disguise himself in like an ordinary man, and then he would just go around. He would just go around wherever people were mixing and talking, and he would just listen to what they were talking. In this way, he could, he could understand if they are satisfied or they are actually frustrated, they have difficulties, and also what is the public opinion about him. So this was one of the ways in which he was getting this feedback, but he was also welcoming every single person in his kingdom to come to him with any complaint he might have had. And today I would like to tell you the story, unbelievable story, of one such person in his kingdom who came to complain. So the story begins like this. One day, there was a very learned and respectable man walking down the street in Ayodhya. Ayodhya is the capital of that kingdom of Lord Ram. And while he was walking down the street, there in the middle of the street was a dog, and he was just lying down, and he was somehow blocking his way. And this respectable man, he just like indicated with a gesture to the dog that he should just move away. But the dog did not want to move away. He just like, you know, like dogs, he just wanted to stay. And then the man, he actually had a stick in his hand. He hit the dog with the stick on his hand. And you know what the dog did? The dog immediately jumped up and he ran. Where did he run? He ran towards the palace and towards that office where Lord Ramachandra was accepting any person with any complaint. So the dog ran there. And of course, then he was waiting there in the courtyard. And Lord Ram, he was inside, and he sent one of his assistants to go out and see if there is any person waiting, you know, to be admitted inside to tell to have some complaint. And when the assistant went to see, he went out in the courtyard. He didn't see anybody, any human being. He just saw a dog, and he thought, well, there is nobody here. And then he came back to Lord Ram and said, well, there is nobody there. But Ram, he knew that there was somebody there. So he sent the assistant back and he said, whoever there is, be a man or an animal, bring him here, or let him come here to see me. So then the assistant went back, and he, of course, now he looked more with greater attentiveness, and he actually thought, well, there is a dog here, so I mean, maybe maybe that's what the king wants him to come. So then he pointed to the dog that he can follow him, and he brought the dog into the office. And in a very amazing way, the king, Ram, he was actually able to communicate with the dog. And he asked him, what is his complaint? So the dog, he told him exactly what has happened, how he lied on the street, and then that learned man came, and when he didn't move, then the man just hit him on the head. And when Rama heard this, he was very concerned, because in his kingdom, nobody was allowed to be subject to violence. Not only any human being, but also every animal was protected by the leader, by Ram. He was protecting every single human being and every single animal. Can you imagine? What is the difference between that time in the present time? What is happening at this time with the animals? How many animals are being killed? And not even speaking about that, even so many human beings are being violated. So then they also called for that learned man to appear on the court. And he came, he appeared, and he actually admitted, yes, I'm guilty, I did this, yes, I did. And then there was a time to actually give him the punishment. And this was another very interesting thing, how they decided upon punishment. Of course, there was a whole group of people who were helping to make a decision, but they also asked the victim about what would he want to be the punishment for the offender. So this was another rule that Lord Ram had. So if anybody committed some criminal activity, then the victim had actually the opportunity and had the right to express what kind of punishment would be satisfying to him, that he would want that the offender would get. So they asked the dog, what kind of punishment should we give to this man? So this is now really interesting. So the dog thought for a little bit, and then he said, well, let him become the manager, the director of the temple, of the main ashram. So that was a big institution. And to get such a position actually was considered a great honor, like a really great honor. And so everybody was baffled. How is this? We asked you to think about some kind of punishment for this offender, but what you now suggested seems more like a reward, because this man will actually get, he will get a higher position than he has right now. So it's actually more like a reward. And we are all baffled. Why did you decide for such a punishment for this person? And then the most interesting thing is the dog actually said, yes, externally, it really seems that this is a reward, because externally it seems that this is like a very, very elevated position, and it's improvement, more prestige and everything. But actually, there is also a great responsibility and great danger when one gets an elevated position. So I can tell you about this from my own experience, because in my previous life, I was such a manager. I was a director of a big spiritual institution. And I was having such a prestigious position, but now look at me. Where have I ended up? So this story actually serves to convey to us a very, very important truth, which is that whenever somebody occupies a very responsible position, like a leadership position, he also bears a lot of responsibility for the people who are under him or her. And if the leader is not is not doing his responsibility properly, if he either allows people under him to commit different criminal activities or forbidden activities, even sinful activities, or he exploits or in any way causes harm to his subordinates, then the consequences are very severe, very, very severe. It is actually a law, a natural law, karmic law, which is also described in the yoga textbook Srimad Bhagavatam, that the leader of the country, for example, takes 1/6 of the sinful activities of every single person in his country. So that means 1/6 of the bad karma of every single person. And so we can only imagine what awaits some of the leaders of our present day on our global on the global level. So, with other words, when somebody is in a responsible position, he has to be really, really, really careful, and really needs to protect people who are under him. He really needs to serve them, and he really needs to do good for them. And if he does not follow this practice, then he has to pay really, really a big price for this in his future. Mostly in his next life. So this is what his karmic reaction will be. But of course, Lord Ramachandra, he is ideal king, so he was flawless. There was no mistake and no weakness in his leadership. He was ruling. He loved his citizens as a father loves them, and he protected them from all the evil, and all the citizens loved him back and supported him back. So I will end here. This is just like one short glimpse from life of Lord Ramachandra, and giving us a little insight into what a real leader really is. What are some of his essential qualities? That he really protects his subordinates, he really cares about them, and he always puts their needs before his needs and his happiness. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, any comments, you can just write them down for me, and I can also respond to them later, because I have to finish right now. So thank you very much.